Good afternoon. Thought I'd jump on, gave you guys a little heads up that we jump on and do just a little bit of movement this afternoon. I know it's the end of the day for some people with work, so it's a great time. I know for me, sometimes, the body starts to talk to me, especially if I've been having to sit at a desk or sit and do any computer work for a period of time, and my back and everything starts talking to me some, or my energy level doesn't feel quite right. So just going to do a quick little movement breath routine. So as I mentioned, grab your favorite oil. Mine for this is peppermint, or you don't have to have oil at all. You can just do the breathing and the movement. But if you're using oil, put your little drop in your hand. And I like to swirl it and put a little bit on my chest so that I'm breathing in, especially because we're going to be doing some upper body movement. And so we'll get that in as we breathe, and then just rub the hands together. You can always, if you're feeling any in the body, you can kind of rub that on the neck. If the back's kind of talking to you, you could rub some on the back because it just feels nice and tingly and cool and warm. And then we'll breathe in. So when you're ready, you're just going to cup your hands together. If you're using peppermint, remember, come in slowly because it's pretty strong. But just bring your hands in slowly towards the nose. And we're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And for today, we're going to exhale out the mouth. So use just a kind of, I call it a sigh of relief exhale. So nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out. So you guys keep breathing. So as you breathe in, think of breathing in and letting it hit the back of your skull base and just going down your spine and then back out. And notice, how far into your body are you able to travel with the breath? Can you use the breath to find a little bit more expansion? And just notice where there's some tightness. And that's going to help you know where to go to first. So as we're breathing, if you feel like you've gotten enough in, we're still going to breathe. But what I like to do is start doing a little bit of kind of marching on my hips. So just kind of letting one hip go down and the other one kind of side bend and side to side. So I just rest my hands on my knees. I have a fairly wide stance with my knees. Let me move the camera back a little bit. I'm sitting on the reformer. And we're just going to kind of side bend. So that's giving us a little stretch there in our QL. And as you go, if it's like, oh, I feel a little bit more over on this side, then spend a little extra time there, right? Or go and feel the other side. And so and we can add a little side bend to that. So just kind of opening everything up. The other thing you could do is if this is just a little too much, you could just kind of sit and wiggle. If I wiggle too much, my reformer is going to bounce back and forth, but you can just kind of wiggle a little bit and get everything to kind of loosen up. From there, especially if you've been using your hands a lot today, what I would like to invite you to do is just kind of interlace your fingers, and we're just going to push our hands out. So we get a little stretch there in our wrist, stretch in our fingers, and then from there we're going to stretch our arms up nice and long. And again, just kind of notice, what feels like it needs a little attention. And we're just going to stretch, let our shoulders come up, and we can allow them to come back down. Nice. And then we're just going to take a little side bend. And so I want you to think of, we're kind of moving from right around our solar plexus, mid-back, and we're just going to side bend. And so you can just move the upper body, or remember when we were doing our little hip march, as I side bend to my right, I can let my left hip kind of drop, and I take a little side bend here and an opening over here and then back. I also like to kind of think of it as kind of like we're yawning through the side body. And so we're going to yawn through that side body. And we'll back to center and yawn through that side body. And then kind of come back to center. So you can keep your arms up, still have my fingers interlaced and pressed away, or you could bring your hands back behind the back of your head. And then we're going to think of moving from right around our center. So we're going to let our chest kind of lift. Our ribs are still kind of hugging in, so we get a little extension. And then we're gonna side bend over to the right. We're gonna roll ourselves forward. And we're gonna side bend to the left and back up. So it's like we're taking our upper body and we're circling it. So I'm keeping my lower body still and I'm just circling that upper body. So you could kind of think like your upper body you're using to try to scrape out the last little bits of the peanut butter in the peanut butter jar. And we're breathing as we go. So we're taking a nice deep breath in. I like to exhale out as I come forward because that's where I want my stomach to kind of pull in to support me in this flexion. And then we come back into our extension, and it's nice to take a breath in and really brighten our chest. Reverse direction. So then we're going to side bend to the left. We'll breathe out as we curl forward and side bend to the right. And then we open up towards this ceiling again and just circle. And you know, as you're going, I've given you instructions to kind of just move the upper body, but if it feels like, oh, when I side bend to the left, it would feel really nice to reach that right hip down, do so. The most important part when you're moving is to listen to the body and what it is asking for. Our body's really smart if we just kind of listen to it sometimes. And so just kind of listen and see what it's needing. And we'll do just one more. Good. When you get back up to the top, let's take our left hand, we're going to stretch it up towards the ceiling, and we're going to side bend over. And again, like I said, let that back hip kind of drip down and really think of yawning and opening that left side body. And then I'll invite you again to do a little rotation. So we're going to rotate like we're looking down and notice how that feels. This side might be like, I don't know. It might feel better if we rotate up towards the ceiling and just kind of taking notice of that. You know, which side does it feel better for me to stretch on? We'll come back to center, come back up, and now we're going to switch sides. So the interesting thing is when I switch sides, is it going to be different? You know, when I go to do my rotation, is it going to feel better to rotate the opposite direction than the other side did? And just kind of noticing that. And when we find those little icky points, like when I open up on this side, I can really feel a stretch here in my low back. So I'm just going to kind of hang into it for a minute and breathe. If your icky spot was when you're rotating forward, then go there. Again, just listen to the body. And breathe into it. So I like to breathe in and find expansion, and breathe out and find release. And then we'll come back to the center. Good. We'll let everything kind of shake out. I told you I kind of keep it nice and short. So that's a nice little short one that you can do. I'll do this sometimes in the afternoon, especially if I've had to do some computer work and sitting for a while, and it just helps me kind of re-energize, get all the stiffness moved out of the body, and gets me kind of prepared to finish up my day. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll do more of these. And you know, make sure to put some of this into your day. You know, you can do this from anywhere. You could be sitting at your desk, as you could see, and do some of this movement. So see you guys next time. Have a great evening. Blessings.